Hey everyone, welcome back to Feel English Podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake. Today we're diving into something we all face, being alone. Why do we fear it? And how can we learn to feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, being alone isn't always easy. Sometimes when everything gets quiet, it feels strange, right? Like the silence becomes too loud.
Totally. It's funny, we live in such a noisy world, phones buzzing, people chatting, music everywhere. When the noise stops, we suddenly notice our thoughts. And that can be a little scary.
Right. It's like when you're alone, you finally hear your own voice. Some people don't like that, maybe because they're not used to it.
Exactly. I used to feel that way too. I remember one weekend when all my friends were busy and I had no plans. At first, I kept checking my phone every 5 minutes. It felt like something was missing.
Oh, I totally get that. It's that feeling of emptiness, like we need someone or something to fill the silence.
Yeah, but here's something interesting. The word alone doesn't have to mean lonely. Let's break that down for our listeners. Alone means just by yourself. Lonely means you feel sad because you're alone.
Great point. So being alone is just a situation, but loneliness is an emotion.
Exactly. And the fear of being alone often comes from that emotion, from thinking, if I'm alone, something's wrong with me.
Yes, but sometimes being alone is a chance to rest, recharge, and understand yourself.
That's true. You know, I once read a quote, "You cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with."
Oh, that's beautiful. And such a nice way to start this talk.
Yeah, maybe our fear of being alone isn't really about the silence, but about what the silence shows us.
That's deep. Okay, let's keep going and talk about why being around people doesn't always mean we feel connected.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
You know, Anna, it's strange. Sometimes we can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely.
Yes, that's such a common feeling. It reminds me of when I used to go to big parties in college. There were people everywhere laughing, dancing, but inside, I felt invisible.
I know that feeling. You smile, talk, maybe even take photos, but something feels off, like you're not really there.
Exactly. I think that's because there's a big difference between company and connection.
That's a great way to say it. Let's explain those words for our listeners. Company means just being with people, someone's presence. Connection means understanding and feeling close to someone.
Yes, so you can have company, but still feel empty if there's no connection.
Totally. I once worked in an office with lots of friendly people. We had small talk every day. How are you? Nice weather today. But I didn't feel I could really talk to anyone about what I was going through.
Yeah, those conversations are polite, but not deep. Sometimes we wear a mask. We act sign because we don't want to bother others or look weak.
That's true. And it's ironic, right? The world feels so connected. We have social media, messages, video calls, but many people still feel alone.
I think part of it is that we compare our lives too much online. We see everyone else looking happy, and we think, why not me?
Exactly. And that comparison can make us feel even more separate.
You know what helps me? Talking honestly, even about small things, like telling a friend, hey, I'm having a rough day. It sounds simple, but that real moment creates connection.
I love that, being real instead of perfect. Because connection isn't about numbers of friends. It's about how true those relationships feel.
So maybe the fear of being alone sometimes pushes us to chase company instead of connection.
Yes, and that's where things get confusing. We fill our lives with people, but still feel empty inside.
Which brings us to the next question. Where does that fear really come from?
Let's talk about that next.
So, Jake, you asked a great question. Where does our fear of being alone actually come from?
Yeah, I think part of it goes way back, like to human history. Humans are social creatures. In the past, being alone could mean danger, no tribe, no protection. So maybe our brains still carry that old fear.
That makes sense. It's like our bodies remember that being alone meant survival risk. Even though now it's safe, our feelings didn't evolve as fast as our technology.
Exactly. And then there's childhood, right? When we were kids, being left alone could feel scary. Like when your parents went out and the house got too quiet.
Oh, yes, I remember that. I used to turn on the TV just to hear some sound. It made me feel like someone was there.
Same here. I think many of us still do that. We turn on music, scroll social media, or watch videos to fill the silence.
Yeah, that's a big one. Social media gives us this illusion of never being alone. We can text someone instantly or post something and get likes, but deep down, that's not the same as real emotional presence.
Totally. You know, once I tried a no-phone weekend, the first few hours were awful. I kept reaching for my phone like an automatic habit. I didn't realize how much I used it just to avoid feeling alone.
That's such a powerful realization. We often use distraction as a shield because when we stop distracting ourselves, we have to face our thoughts, and that can be uncomfortable.
Right. And maybe that's where the fear really lives. Not in being alone, but in facing ourselves.
Wow, that's deep, Jake. Facing ourselves, our doubts, our memories, our emotions can be hard, but it's also where healing starts.
Exactly. I think that's why many people start journaling or meditating to learn how to sit with themselves.
Yes, and that leads perfectly into our next part, how we can learn to actually enjoy being alone instead of fearing it.
Great transition. Let's talk about that next.
So, Anna, now that we know why we fear being alone, how can we learn to enjoy it?
Good question. I think it starts small, doing simple things by yourself and noticing how they make you feel, like having coffee alone, going for a walk, or watching a movie at home without your phone.
Yeah, that's true. When you start doing that, you begin to see that your own company isn't so bad. Actually, it can be peaceful.
Definitely. I remember last year I started journaling every morning, just writing about what I felt. At first, it was weird. I didn't know what to say. But then I started discovering my thoughts and emotions more clearly.
That's great. I tried something similar. I started hiking alone on weekends. The first time, it felt awkward, like people might think I had no friends.
I've been there too. But after a while, it feels freeing, right? You can walk at your own pace, stop when you want, and just think.
Exactly. It's like your mind finally has space to breathe.
You know, for our listeners, this might be a good vocabulary moment. The phrase me time. It means time just for yourself to rest, think, or do something you enjoy.
That's a great one. Everyone needs some me time. It's not selfish, it's healthy.
Yes, because when you take time for yourself, you actually become more balanced and better at connecting with others too.
That's so true. I think many people confuse being alone with being lonely. But when you enjoy your own company, you build inner strength.
And creativity too. Some of the best ideas come when you're alone, not distracted, not trying to please anyone.
Exactly. It's like when writers or artists say they need solitude to think deeply. That quiet space helps them hear their inner voice.
I love that. Maybe the key is not fighting solitude, but welcoming it, treating it like a friend.
Yes, like saying, hey, quiet time, come in, let's talk.
I like that. So let's keep this flow going. What happens when we stop fearing solitude and start embracing it?
Ah, that's where the magic happens, when you're alone but not lonely.
Perfect. Let's explore that next. So, Jake, you said something really beautiful. Alone, but not lonely. What does that feel like to you?
It feels like peace, like sitting by the window with a cup of tea, hearing the rain outside, and realizing I'm okay. I don't need anyone to fill this moment.
That sounds lovely. It's like your heart feels full, even though you're alone.
Exactly. You're not missing anything. You're just being. That's a powerful feeling.
You know, I think being alone but not lonely is a sign of emotional maturity. You've learned to enjoy your own space without feeling empty.
Totally. And it doesn't mean you don't love people. It just means you don't depend on them to feel complete.
That's so important. I once met a woman who traveled the world alone after quitting her job. She said at first it was scary. No one to share meals with, no one to take photos with. But after a few weeks, she said something changed.
What happened?
She said, I stopped feeling like something was missing. I realized I could create my own joy. Isn't that inspiring?
Wow. Yes. That's a perfect example of turning loneliness into self-discovery.
For sure. And it reminds me of another phrase, in your own skin. When we say someone is comfortable in their own skin, it means they accept who they are and feel confident being themselves.
That's a great expression. When you're comfortable in your own skin, being alone doesn't scare you anymore. It feels natural.
Right. It's like when you go to a cafe by yourself, and instead of feeling awkward, you enjoy your coffee, watch people, and just feel present.
Yes, those small moments teach us that being alone isn't empty, it's alive.
I love that. And sometimes being alone gives us new energy to connect with others more honestly later.
Exactly. Solitude helps us recharge our emotional batteries. Without that, we can feel drained, even in company.
So maybe the goal isn't to avoid being alone, but to balance it, to know when we need quiet and when we need connection.
That's a perfect lead into our last part, finding that balance between solitude and togetherness.
Let's wrap it up with that thought. So, Jake, we've talked about fear, silence, and even peace, but now comes the real challenge: balance. How do we balance being alone and being with others?
Yeah, that's a question everyone faces. I think balance means knowing what you need in each moment. Some days you need quiet to think. Other days you need laughter and people around you.
Exactly. And there's no perfect formula. It's about listening to yourself, understanding when your energy needs rest or connection.
Right. You know, I used to fill my calendar with social plans. I thought being busy meant being happy, but sometimes I came home exhausted. Then I realized it's okay to say no, stay home, and recharge.
That's such an important lesson. For me, it was the opposite. I used to isolate myself too much, thinking I was protecting my peace. But after a while, I missed people, the shared laughter, the warmth.
So you learned to open up again?
Yes, I started calling friends more, having real conversations. It reminded me that connection gives life meaning too.
That's the beauty of it. Solitude teaches us who we are, and connection reminds us that we're part of something bigger.
I love that. Maybe we can say it like this: being alone helps you understand yourself. Being with others helps you share yourself.
Wow, that's a quote right there.
Maybe we should put that on a t-shirt.
Totally. But seriously, I think the fear of being alone starts to fade when we realize both sides, alone and together, are parts of a full life.
Yes, and when you stop running from loneliness, you begin walking toward peace.
That's beautiful, Anna.
Thanks, Jake. All right, let's slow down and wrap up today's episode with a short reflection. You know, Jake, today's talk made me realize that being alone isn't something to fear, it's something to understand.
I agree. It's like learning to listen to the quiet parts of ourselves. When we stop filling every moment with noise, we finally hear what our hearts have been trying to say.
Yes, loneliness can feel heavy, but it can also be a door to self-awareness, peace, and creativity.
And when we learn to be happy alone, we connect with others from a place of fullness, not need.
That's true connection, sharing joy instead of searching for it.
Exactly.
So, to everyone listening, thank you for spending this quiet, thoughtful time with us. Remember, real English is about connection, not perfection.
Take care of yourself, enjoy your me time, and we'll see you next time on Feel English Podcast.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.